Welcome to Season 2, Episode 4, the Sophomores Podcast, Teacher Talks, where you can get to know more about your teachers. I'm Lily Wu, and together with our co-host Sarah Sun, we interviewed Miss White, a librarian here at Great South High.
Hi, Ms. White. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this short interview for our podcast. We have a few questions for you today. So firstly, could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Mrs. White. I'm a school librarian. I've been a librarian for I think about 17 years. My first job was working in the Alaskan bush, where I would fly from my village district office out to satellite villages and then jump off the plane, hike down to a river. If the river was frozen, I would be snowmobiled across the river by someone else's assistance. If the river was thawed, someone might motorboat me across the river, and then I would catch a bush pilot flying in on the next plane that was going out, and I would fly off to my next school. My second job actually took me from the Alaskan bush, where there were no roads in or out and people lived by subsistence, to Los Angeles. And I worked in a school a little bit larger than Great Neck, in the greater Los Angeles area, where there were about 1,000 students per grade. It was actually a pretty large school. 4,000 students in the school total, city school. And from there, I actually ended up in Western upstate New York, where statistically, there were more cows than people, which was a huge difference. And then eventually, my husband and I, Mr. White and I, decided that it was time for us to hit the open road again, and we made our way to Great Neck, and that's where I am now, of course, with you all lovely folks, plying my trade and being a school librarian in your library.
And we're really lucky to have you here.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I feel so lucky to be here. I know this is gonna sound, I promise you that this is complete sincerity, but this is truly the most wonderful school district that I've ever worked in, and I want to go on record by saying that South High is the most wonderful school that I've ever worked with, and that goes without saying about the students, the staff, the faculty, and honestly the parents and the community members. I think that Great Neck is a really special community, and I'm really thrilled to be a part of it.
What are some of your favorite hobbies and pastimes?
Well, once I hit adulthood, at one point I got this idea that it would be really cool to make a personal goal that every summer I would try and master one new skill that I'd always wanted to learn about. So one summer, I spent my time learning and teaching myself how to make soap from scratch. I use a method called cold processing, whereby I use oils like olive oil, castor oil, shea butter, coconut oil, and lye, and I learn about the chemical properties of everything, and I use it to create soap. Another summer, I had the idea that I was going to learn how to can and process and preserve food. So I spent the summer making a really big garden, and I taught myself how to make pickles and salsa and canned dilly beans and asparagus. Another summer, although I guess this last one wasn't really a summer, this was actually a year-long project. I ended up needing a new dining room table, and I decided that instead of buying a dining room table, I was going to teach myself woodworking.
That is so cool. So what do you find important about being self-efficient and being able to craft many of your own stuff by yourself?
You're going to find as you get older and you graduate from high school and graduate from college, learning doesn't stop. Learning keeps on going. You're always going to have an opportunity in your life to study new things and to learn new things about the world around you. It just comes down to, what are your personal interests? For me, there's actually something else going on though, besides a love of learning. So many teachers, specialize in one subject area or another, especially at the high school level. You might be a math teacher, or you might be a science teacher or an art teacher. As a librarian, I study information organization and information retrieval, and how to synthesize information, how to create something new out of something that we've just learned. So one of the things that I stress to kids as a librarian is that libraries are going to be useful to you your entire life. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter whether you go to college or whether you're working. Libraries have something useful to offer you, and it is this: you can learn anything you want to know about anything in the world if you're willing to go visit a library and do some research. And sometimes it takes a little bit more. There are some very complex concepts in the world that you might need a little bit of help for, but libraries are that great starting point. And the best part of libraries is that anyone can use a library in this country. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what your education is, how much money you have. Libraries are available to anyone as sources of knowledge and learning. Libraries are places that you will be visiting, hopefully, your entire life.
So what are some of the skills or other hobbies that you want to learn in the future, or do you want to teach in summer?
But one of the things that I'd like to learn this summer, hopefully I'm going to try, is how to make my own cheese. But not just soft cheeses, which are actually pretty quick and easy to do, but hard cheeses like Parmesan and cheddar. You actually need a cheese press and weights, and you need to let it age. And I'm really looking forward this summer to gathering some equipment and teaching myself how to make cheese. I love cheese. In addition to that, some of the things that I would like to learn how to do, I'd really like to learn how to make my own stained glass. I've done a little bit of background research already, and I know there's a few places on Long Island that you can actually sign up for evening or weekend classes.
So given you have so many of these things that you want to try and learn, and you do so much research for them, and you work in a library, and one of my core memories of you is you came into my science research class, or we came to a library, and you sort of taught us how to research, how to find good sources. So what are some research tips you have for our audience?
My advice when you are researching, right, is to always make sure that you follow a couple of really easy steps to analyze the sources that you're using. Number one, you should be aware of who is providing you this information. What are their credentials? What is their background? What makes this person a trustworthy, valuable resource who has the authority to speak on their subject that they're giving information on? How timely is the information? Is it new? Is it old? Is the information the type of information that will be changing? In the world, when we talk about things like political science or even physical science, right? Biology, chemistry, earth science, new things are coming to light all the time. People are making new discoveries. Nations change leaders. Countries sometimes change borders. It's really important to make sure that your information is timely enough for what the question is at hand that you want to get an answer to. If we are looking to write a thesis paper or formulate an argument about a given topic, who is giving you the information? And we call this bias. Are they trying to convince you of something without giving you all sides of a given subject? And the way that we check for things like that is we consult multiple sources from multiple perspectives, hopefully verified sources from verified authors, so that we can feel confident and trustworthy that the information that we are receiving is accurate and complete and really serves the purposes that we are trying to meet through our research.
So clearly you spend a lot of time in the library, and that's where you gained all these research skills and through your education. So people sometimes they know how to research, but they don't really know where to start. So how would you suggest that they start finding sources and start preparing for their research?
Well, there's so many ways to do that. In this day and age, you can go to the library and you can check the card catalog for physical materials. Many libraries have not just print books, but ebooks, magazines, newspapers. A database is another really valuable source to check for these sorts of information, because databases are repositories of information that has actually already been vetted for accuracy and authority. Some of these standards that by which we judge the usefulness of a piece of information have already been accounted for. So that leaves the researcher only needing to explore and find out whether the information that they've retrieved is relevant to the topic that they're trying to learn about, and if it's timely enough, depending on what topic they want to learn about.
And as a follow-up, do you have any book or literature recommendations?
Oh my goodness. Well, my personal favorite author is a gentleman by the name of Terry Pratchett, who he passed away a few years ago, but he was very, very famous for writing satirical fantasy. So he's a British author, and his books I find them so interesting because they're thoughtful and they explore big questions like what is the reason that we're here and what it means to be human. And he does this with a mixture of humor and telling fantasy stories and just really good insight into, he asks questions and he explores possible answers in some of his stories. And I just find him very, very enjoyable to read.
On a tangent, what are some aspects of the library that you think not a lot of people know? What are the little secrets of the library?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so the first thing that I would like people to know is that you can learn anything you want to in a library. Anything you want to. Do you want to learn about how to knit or crochet? You can learn that here. Do you want to know about throwing pottery and glazing pottery? Well, we're not an art studio, so we don't actually have a pottery wheel, but you can learn about the materials used and you can watch videos about the techniques and you can look at places to source materials and you can explore where you can find classes. We may not be able to turn ourselves into a pottery studio, but we can get you so far along the way to learn how to do something that you've always wanted to learn about. As a matter of fact, going back to a previous question about what are some of the things that I've taught myself and what are some of the things that I'd like to learn, I learned how to make soap and how to spin and weave and do tie-dye because I was using the research skills that I know as a professional and that I strive to share with students every time they visit the library. It's not that I have access to any other materials that other people don't have. It's that I'm a good researcher. And again, that stands to me as a testimony of what can we learn from going to the library and making friends with your librarian and taking part in the classes and all of the events that libraries offer to people in the public or in a school setting to its students.
It's really great, and I really like your response to that.
So from your teaching experience at Southline, what's your best memory from this place?
That's a really hard question to answer because there are so many wonderful moments. In the short time that I've been here for only 5 years, there's so many wonderful, wonderful memories that I can look back at. The opening of the library, my first day at Great Neck, helping on the shows. But I have to say, if I were to think of something that, if I had to choose one thing, the one thing that stands out in my mind as a testimony to the greatness that is Great Neck would be Cultural Heritage Night, because we get to see students showcasing skills and talents and passions and art that is relevant to them. Not only that, I absolutely love the way that throughout the years, upperclassmen embrace and take underclassmen under their wings and teach them the skills that they need to know to participate. Cultural Heritage Night, truly, from my perspective, is student-driven. And I think that is a beautiful, beautiful way of approaching education, is fostering students in the achievement and pursuit of the knowledge and things that they are passionate about, things that are important to them. And as teachers, setting the stage to allow students to go out and explore and learn and discover and then put into practice all of the things that they find out. I don't have enough positive things to say about Cultural Heritage Night, but if there was one event in the school calendar year that every single year I look forwards to and every single year I make sure that I get to attend, it would be Cultural Heritage Night.
That's really great, and it also adds to this sort of like inclusive environment in Great South High, and it's just like all these different aspects, and it's all like culminating in this one event. And I agree with all your insights. One final question: what's the best thing about working as a librarian, teacher, and educator?
I think the best thing about being a school librarian is working with students. You guys are so much fun, and I come to work every day and I laugh and I smile, and I get to watch kids and students grow. I get to watch students grow as researchers. I get to watch students grow as scholars. I get to watch students grow into the adults that they're going to be as students, travel through high school and get ready to prepare for college and consider what they want to study and go through the process of writing their applications and then deciding where they want to go or deciding what career path they want to take. Getting to watch students grow and also being privileged enough to help them on their journeys.
And that's really amazing. And as students, we're really glad to have you here to help us during these formative years of high school. And I feel like you're a really great mentor, a really great librarian. We're really happy to have you here.
Thank you.
So that's all for our interview today. Thank you so much, Miss White. And we'll see you in our next episode. Bye. Bye.
This podcast is brought to you by The Southerner, Great South High's newspaper. It is hosted by Sarah Sun and Lily Wu, directed by Amelia Liao, and edited by Janice Lee. So, from your teaching experience at South High, what's your best memory from this place?
Oh my gosh, that's so hard to pick. There's so many wonderful memories. Oh. Hang on, can we pause for a second?
Yeah, the last time you said Cultural Heritage Night.
Oh yeah! That's the truth.